If I were to give you one single tip on how to make better videos, that would actually be to use hard cuts. Because the hard cut is the key to a good edit. I just want to start this video out by saying, hey, huge thank you for swinging by my channel and taking a look at my video. If you haven't subscribed, you might want to consider doing that because we're doing a lot of filmmaking here. If you're new, if you have been around, you already know what's going down. And if you follow me on Instagram, then you probably have seen a lot of my Instagram reels that I've been pushing out onto my account lately. And the cool thing with these reels is that I have used some very simple editing techniques in order to make them look the way that they look. There's no big effects in the videos, there's no transitions, there's just a couple of, well thought out settings and editing techniques that I've used. And that is exactly what we're going to discuss in this video. And the first cut that we're going to talk about is the hard cut. I actually brought a friend of mine to help us dive a little bit deeper into this. Tom.
Oh, Peter.
Hi.
I didn't see you there.
Give us the lowdown.
You want to talk about hard cuts?
I'm in. Hard cuts, förstår du.
Well, let's cut to the chase because there's hardly anything to a hard cut. In fact, that term, cut to the chase, comes from the film industry, and it has to do with just getting to the point. And the way that you would do that is to just use a hard cut from one thing to another thing. And there's hardly anything to a hard cut because it is the simplest transition in filmmaking or video making or anything like that. Basically, you're just showing one thing and then you're just showing another thing.
Tom, cut it out. Get to the good stuff.
Did you just tell me to cut it out? Like a hard cut? Like an example? Like showing an example of a hard cut right now?
Yes!
Let's do that. Let's pretend that we are making a movie, an Academy Award winning movie right now. And what we need to do is show me, I guess I'm the star of this film, grabbing that bass guitar over there off the wall. And in order to do that, we're gonna use a hard cut. So let me get into character, get into acting. Oh boy, I should go get my bass. And now I've got my bass. That wasn't hard at all to cut to the chase.
No pun intended, eller?
But a reason in this situation that you would want to use a hard cut instead of some other kind of cut or transition is because a hard cut isn't going to communicate anything extra or unintentional. A lot of video editing software by default will insert cross dissolves. And transitions, by their very nature, are intended to communicate something to your audience. And a cross dissolve usually tends to communicate that time has passed. So let's say time has passed and now I need to put this bass away. So we're gonna do this, but instead of using hard cuts, I'm going to use cross dissolves. So, boy, this has sure been fun. I should go put this bass in its place, the bass over there. In that space, here I go. And that's how you deliver an Academy Award-winning performance. So the cross dissolves in that situation really made it feel like a lot of time had passed when really no time had passed, and there would be no reason for me to want to tell my audience that time had passed. So I think the easiest thing to keep in mind when it comes to hard cuts is that it is the default basic transition, and you should always probably have a reason if you're going to use something other than just a default hard cut. That's a deep cut of knowledge.
Oh dear God, I can't imagine how it's going to turn out when you actually become a dad.
Yeah, but the thing about dad jokes is you don't have to be a dad to tell dad jokes. In fact, a regular joke doesn't even become a dad joke until it's apparent.
Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. It's always good to get your opinion on stuff. The next cut that we're going to talk about is the jump cut, which is actually probably one of the best cuts to make your boring videos interesting, if that makes sense. Gonna give you an example of my camera bag. For example, when I was organizing that, I placed the camera top-down shot and then just started organizing the different things, putting it back into the bag. The entire clip turned out to be 18 minutes long. Nobody in their right mind would actually watch me stuffing things into the camera bag for 18 minutes. So I had to cut it down to fit Instagram Reels. And what I did was that I used jump cuts to jump between the most interesting parts in the video that I wanted to include into the final product. And basically what you do is that you cut out everything in between of what is going on. And that is also how you can get some really fast-paced vlog stuff. For example, when I'm doing unboxings over on my vlog channel, if you haven't subscribed, you definitely should do that. Link in the description. I usually use jump cuts to make it look more interesting than what it actually is. Say for example that I want to move close to the camera quickly. Then what I could do is then just cut to this part in the clip, and I'm going to be standing in front of the camera. And if I do a hard cut again, but to this part of the clip, then that's another jump cut in this clip. And when I'm doing my YouTube videos, most of the cuts that I use for my talking heads are actually jump cuts. For example, when you're seeing me talk like this and I want to take away the or then what I do is that I just cut out those small bits and pieces in the clip, but keep the main talking points of the video. And that is what we call the jump cut as well. And as you probably saw right now, I was switching the angle of the camera by zooming in on the lens, but you didn't see me actually zooming in with the lens. So when I'm going from this angle to this angle, I'm doing a jump cut in this clip that is basically just a hard cut. Otherwise it would just look like this, where I would just be standing here zooming in and out, so like a stupid idiot. But now you know a lot more about the jump cut. The next cut that I want to talk about is the match cut, which is also a hard cut. Everything is basically based on hard cut, but we call them differently because they do different things for the effect of the video. And a really good example of the match cut is when I'm sitting here in the studio, opening up my computer and then snapping my fingers and then being right outside in the forest next to a campfire. The only thing that you gotta do here is that you're gonna line up the two shots. So making sure that you have the shot that you shoot here in the studio to be matching up with the shot that you're actually taking outside. So when you just do a hard cut in between the two and match up the movement, the placement and everything else, it's gonna feel like you're actually doing a transition, but you're just using a hard cut. When I was shooting the B-roll sequences, one of the things that I used a whole lot was something that is called the whip pan. And in this video, we're gonna call it the whip cut. Again, this is also based on a hard cut. Say for example that I want to do a whip pan from this point over to this point. What I would do is something like this. Hey, I'm standing over here right now. So basically whipping my camera to the left after saying what I want. And now I'm just moving to a different location, say for example right here. Then I'm gonna whip my camera in from the right. This is very important because we're always gonna have to think 360. So it's gonna look something like this. And now I'm standing over here. And what we're gonna do now is just do a hard cut in between the two and try to match up the shots. Simple as that. Hey, I'm standing over here right now. And now I'm standing over here. When you are doing that, it becomes a seamless transition without actually using an effect on your clip, which I think is very cool because when you start to plan these things out, it makes the entire video look a lot more professional. And the last cut that we're going to talk about is the mask cut. And this is actually kind of based on layers and the hard cut, because if you think about it as two separate layers, you have the main layer and then the add-on layer. So say for example, one of the reels that I posted onto my Instagram yesterday, where I was throwing up a can of water into there and the can is going in slow motion, but I'm still moving in real time. That is actually two shots combined. Another good example of the mask cut is this, where you can see two Peters in the same frame. And the only thing that I've done is that I've duplicated a layer and then put a mask in between the two so that we just see half the frame basically. That gives us two Peters. And as you can see, if I do like this, we have a mask. Using these cuts and these techniques in your videos will make your videos a lot better. Trust me. And if you want to dive deeper into Final Cut Pro and how to use Final Cut, I am currently working on a course right now. It's going to be an ever-growing course. It's going to be a one-time payment, and you can sign up for the newsletter for that course in the description down below. So highly recommend you check that out. Thanks so much for watching. Peter from Sweden is saying goodbye. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and all that good stuff. See you in the next video.